Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Mary if you're coming across my channel for the first time, and if you are a returning subscriber, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for always coming back to check out on my content. If you are coming across this channel for the first time, please allow me to introduce my channel. Here we talk about family, relationships, we talk about teenagers and education in general. So you are at the right place. Welcome, and please watch the video up to the end. Let us make this conversation as informative as possible. Today I want us to have a very interesting conversation that affects parents. I'm a parent. I know what I'm talking about. I know in my audience, actually, a bigger percentage of my audience are parents. Let's talk about something that probably you've never realized as a parent. We have people that we call late bloomers. Do you know who a late bloomer is? Your daughter, your son could be a late bloomer, and as a parent, you find it very irritating. Very irritating. And sometimes you may keep on comparing your child with another child. Just comparing age mates. Like, you'll never understand, like, you don't understand. Why is it that your child is not behaving like another child of the same age? And the reason is you don't have the knowledge. So if you have the knowledge, once you're equipped with the knowledge, you'll understand that your child is a late bloomer. And because they're late bloomers, you'll be very patient with them. You'll be understanding, and you're going to help them process the whole journey, just to go through the whole journey. So let's start by defining who a late bloomer is. So we have so many definitions. There's so many. If you Google, you're going to get a lot of introspection on the definition of late bloomers. So according to me, a late bloomer is a person who does not attain or achieve certain milestones as compared to their age mates. So here we are comparing age mates. So you may find a girl who is 9 years old, but that girl sometimes behaves like a 5-year-old. Who is that girl? That girl who is behaving like a 5 years old, and yet she's 9 years old, is a late bloomer mentally. Sometimes you may find a girl who is 18 years old. Imagine 18 years old, almost getting out of, adolescent and teenagehood and all that. But they're behaving like a 10-year-old. That particular girl is a late bloomer. And if only you understand who a late bloomer is, then you'll be very patient with your children. If you check out on some of the videos that I did when I started this channel, there's something that I talked about: differentiated instruction. And as a parent, it is your work, it is your duty to ensure that you profile your children and understand how best to support them. And once you profile them, you'll realize that they are the same children, from the same mother, from the same father, but they are totally different. And you will never compare siblings to siblings. You will never do that. And the reason is because you'll understand that sibling A is very different from sibling B. The same with children that are late bloomers. So I hope you get what I am saying. So I'm going to break this video into two sections. Today we'll talk about this physical signs that a girl or a boy is a late bloomer. And then in the next video we will talk about from the academic point of view, so that you understand as a parent that your child could be not performing well because they are mentally a late bloomer. So let's dig into this conversation. So let's start with girls. What are some of the signs that a girl is a late bloomer? And most of the time, girls, you'll identify once they hit adolescent. Nowadays, I'm told that we have girls who start their menses as early as 7 years old. Have you ever heard of that? Dear parent, I'd love to hear from you. And therefore, you'll find that there are girls starting their menses at, let's say, averagely 9 years. And you have a daughter who does not start her menses at 9 years. Rather, she gets her first menses at 15 years old. That girl automatically is a late bloomer. Ideally, such ideally any girl should begin her menses at around 9 to 10 years. That is ideally the norm. But we've seen cases in school where we've had girls even at 16 years experiencing menses for the first time. So if you have such a child, you know that your daughter is a late bloomer. And remember, it is going to affect them mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. So what can you do to such a girl? Let her understand that she's a late bloomer and there's nothing wrong with her. Eventually, she'll get her menses and she will get to learn that it is something that obviously was to happen to her. So we have had girls that come to our counseling offices, and they are so disappointed because they are already 15, 16, and they're not experiencing the menses just like other girls. And as a parent, as a counselor, it becomes very easy because I know that is a sign of a late bloomer. But if you are a parent who does not have the knowledge, you may be so stressed up. And even sometimes you may find that you spend a lot of money moving from one doctor to another just to find a solution. The solution is simple. Understand that that girl is a late bloomer and eventually she'll get her menses. The second physical feature in a girl that shows that your daughter is a late bloomer is the physique, her physique. There are some girls, they are ideally, most of the girls start growing breasts at the age of around 9 years. Nowadays it comes earlier, but ideally it should be at 9 years. So there are some girls who will go through the whole high school and they don't have any breasts. And you'll find that they will feel like they are the odd one out. They'll feel like there's something wrong with them. And the reason is because they are late bloomers. But eventually the breasts will come up. Maybe somewhere in college, somewhere in the university, they'll realize that they start developing breasts. But in their own, during a specific year, like their age mates started developing breasts, but for them, they never developed anything. And therefore, they may be shy, they may lose their confidence, they may lose their self-esteem. And that is where you as a parent comes in. If you realize that your daughter is not growing breasts at the right time, then talk to her, encourage her that it is something that has happened to others in the past and she will eventually develop the breasts. So it should not be something that you should allow to bring your daughter down. Rather be the first one to champion and to educate your own daughter. What do you think about this? The other physical sign is that you may find that this girl has no breast, they don't have the pubic hair, and when they go to school, and especially boarding schools, they do shower with other girls, and therefore other girls will observe this one does not have breast, no pubic hair, and sometimes she may be a subject of ridicule from her age mates. And if you want your daughter to feel safe, to have high self-esteem, as a parent, take the lead. Let her know that with time, all those physical aspects that she's missing out, they'll come. And once they come, she'll just be complete. It is only that she's a late bloomer and her hormones are not working at the right time, if I can use that. So understand that we have late bloomers. Let nobody make these girls feel bad or the boys to feel bad. So here we are done with the physical aspect for the girls. So let's talk about our boys. So if you are a parent to a boy, these are some of the physical signs that you should be looking out for so that you know whether your son is a late bloomer or not. So remember that also in boys, late blooming and all that is seen first when they hit adolescent, because that is where we need to see change. That is where everyone changes, the physique and everything changes. So what happens to boys who are late bloomers? So boys who are late bloomers, their voices are not going to break. They'll not. Their age mates, their classmates, their voices will break almost at the same time because they are of the same age. But this particular boy who is a late bloomer will remain speaking the same way that he has been speaking. and sometimes it can lower the self-esteem of such a boy. What do they need? They need counseling from parents. Of course, I always say that a parent should be the first person to talk to their children. Therefore, the first person who should encourage and make this boy to understand that he's a late bloomer should be you, the parent, before the teachers and the counselors do that. The other thing for the boys is they'll not have the pubic hair, and of course this one will be seen by others, and especially if they go to boarding school, as I have mentioned previously. If your son goes to a boarding school, the others may observe that they don't have pubic hair. You know, they don't have pubic hair. And sometimes they may laugh at such a boy. He may be isolated. He may feel that he's stigmatized. And it is your responsibility and duty as a parent to try and identify, and especially when your son or daughter hits 9 years, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout, because once you are at the lookout and very keen, you are going to know whether your child is a late bloomer physically or not. And then the other thing about boys, once they hit adolescent, you realize that their shoulders, they broaden, and the boys become kind of masculine. And if this is something that is not happening to your son, maybe at the age of 9, 10, up to around 15, then that child is a late bloomer. But there's nothing wrong with it. It is just a matter of time, and they'll develop these physical features. And then finally, on boys, they'll not have the Adam apple. The Adam apple that is usually seen here. They'll not have it. It will totally not be there. And the reason is because their growth is gradual. It is kind of slow as compared to their age mates. And I would like to encourage you as a parent and insist on being observant. Just take your time and observe. And observe. And probably if you're a father and you feel like you cannot talk, maybe have such a conversation with your daughter about late blooming and all that, I always advise you, get someone who is a female relative to them. Let them talk to them so that they understand these are normal situations, and with time they'll pick up and become just like their peers. If you are a mother and you have a son and probably you fear talking to your son, please don't fear. Get some, if you don't fear, because for me, I have a son, and of course I'm advocating for an open conversation. And if you do fear, get a male figure who can talk to your son so that they understand what is happening to them, so that their self-esteem is not torn by their age mates. There's something that happens with self-esteem. If a child's self-esteem is taken away, it will be very hard for that child to grow up and become a happy adult. It will be very hard. These are adults that are antisocial in workplaces, people that don't like interacting with other people. And sometimes you may realize that it is because of such things. Maybe such situations happened to them, and you as a parent, you should be on the lead. Find out. And as always here in my channel, I always talk about parents being very busy, that they miss out on those important milestones. As much as you're busy, as much as you have a lot of work in your hands, observe what is happening around your children so that you know how best you can help them. Identify, is your child a late bloomer? And if this is what or who they are, talk to them, counsel them, let them understand that gradually they'll pick up, so that they don't just become desperate, get wrong information. Like for girls, and especially girls, I've heard so many myths that surrounds girls late blooming and all that. I've heard of girls that have been told, if your breasts do not grow by such a particular time, you can allow a boy to touch your breast so that your breasts can grow. You can imagine if your child gets such a misconception, what are they going to do? They'll end up allowing boys to touch them. And one thing will lead to another. They'll become sexually involved. Next, pregnancy. and you'll be shocked as a parent. And the reason is because you are too busy to observe what is happening around your child. So in my next video, we are going to look at it from the academic point of view, so that you understand if your child is a late bloomer, and just give them the space and the support that they need. If you're coming across this channel for the first time and you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing, like this video, share. Let us make this conversation as interesting and as educative as possible. What do you think about this video? Have you ever heard about the term late bloomers? Were you a late bloomer, or are you a late bloomer? Share your experience with us. Thank you and goodbye.